In this lecture, we will do a review on selection structures.
So what we're going to do now is just review a little bit on selection structures, and the way we're going to do that is with more exercises. I know you love it, but it's good for you. So we're going to be doing some more examples. I'm going to be asking you some questions, mostly saying here's some code. Can you tell me what the output of it is? So with each of these, as before, I recommend you pause the video, work out the code, and when you think you have the answer, resume the video to see if you're correct. So in this example, we have two integers, x and y. X is -2 and y is 1. We're doing some comparisons with our if-then statement, and then we'll do something with x if it's true. And then we're going to convert x to a string and store that into a label. So your task is to determine what is going to be the output of this, or at least what's going to be stored in that label. In this case, since x is -2 and y is 1, x greater than y is going to be false because -2 is not greater than 1. Therefore, we're going to skip the whole then portion of the if statement, and our output is going to be whatever x is, which is -2, so our output is going to be -2. Here's another example where our condition is now checking if x plus y is less than or equal to 0. So take a look at the code and determine what is going to be the output in this case. So what we have here is we first need to determine what x plus y is. So we have -2 and 1, so if we add them together, that gives us -1. So that means we're comparing -1 and see if it's less than or equal to 0. Well, that is in fact true. -1 is less than 0, so that's true. Therefore, we're going to go inside the body of the if statement, or I should say the then portion of it. We're going to add 3 to x. X is currently -2. We add 3 to it, so that gives us 1. Therefore, our output is going to be 1. In this example, our if-then statement's just a little bit different. Our condition is if x is less than or equal to 0. So if that's true, we're going to set y to x, and then we're going to display x. So I want you to tell me what the output of this is going to be. So here, we're comparing x less than or equal to 0. X is -2. Therefore, x less than or equal to 0 is going to be true. So we're going to set y to x, but notice that we're still converting x to a string. So even though we go inside the then portion of our statement, the assignment of storing x into y doesn't really have any impact on the output at all. We're changing y, but we don't use y later on. So in this case, the output's going to be whatever x originally was, which is -2 in this case. In this example, we see that we have several conditions in our if-then statement. So we're going to check to see if x is less than or equal to 0 or y is equal to 2. So with that said, I want you to tell me what the output is going to be. So we need to check the conditions to see if they're true or false. So let's start with x less than or equal to 0. Since x is -2, well, x less than or equal to 0 is going to be true. And since it's an or statement, I mean, we know it's going to be true, but let's just follow what the execution order is. We would check y equals 2. This is going to be false because y is 1. So since we have true or false, that's going to be true. So we go inside the if statement and set x to 100. So when we store the value of x in our label, our output is going to be 100. In this example, our two conditions for the if statement would be to check that x is less than or equal to 0 and y equals 2. So if both of those are true, then we're going to set x to 100. So I want you to tell me what the output is. So let's check both conditions. So since x is -2, x less than or equal to 0 is going to be true because -2 is less than or equal to 0. And since we're dealing with an and, we need to check the other condition to make sure that both are true in order for the whole thing to be true. And we see that y equals 2 is going to be false because y is 1, it's not 2. So we have true and false, which is false because they both have to be true for it to be true. Therefore, we skip the then portion of the if statement and we store whatever x currently is into our label since that's negative 2, the output is going to be negative 2. In this example, we have the or else operator, and our two conditions in this case would be x less than or equal to 2 and y greater than 0. So we changed up the conditions just a little bit. So given the values of x and y, I want you to tell me what the output of this code is going to be. So let's check the first condition of the x less than or equal to 2. Since x is negative 2, that means x less than or equal to 2 is going to be true because negative 2 is surely less than or equal to 2. And since this is an or else operator, we don't need to check the second condition if the first one is true. And since it is true, we don't need to evaluate y greater than 0. We immediately get the true portion. So that means we can go inside the if statement, set x to 100, therefore our output is going to be 100. In this example, we're using the and also operator. So given the code and our conditions are x less than or equal to 2 and y greater than 0, I want you to tell me what the output of this code is going to be. So let's evaluate the expressions. So since x is negative 2, x less than or equal to 2 is going to be true. Now we have to check the second condition. If the first condition were false, we wouldn't need to check the second condition. But because it's true, we have to check the second one. And we see that since y is 1, y greater than 0 is going to be true. So we have true and also true. So that's going to be true. So we go into the body of our if-then statement. We execute the x equals 100 line. So our output is going to be 100.